Well, we can now go to the Iraqi capital, Baghdad, trying to recover after the worst atrocity this year. Hundreds were killed or wounded in the past few days in an attack admitted by ISIS-Daesh. Joining me is an Iraqi State of Law Coalition Member of Parliament and current Deputy Head of Baghdad Council Security Committee, Saad al-Matlabi, live from Baghdad. Saad, Eid Mubarak, thanks for joining us. What was the scale of the atrocity in Baghdad over the weekend?
Thank you very much, and seasoned greetings to you. While it comes on a very, very devastating events in Baghdad, and the aid has been definitely changed with a tremendous amount of death and destruction caused by ISIS and those intelligence services and neighboring countries that feed ISIS with financial aids and with supplies. The atrocity was at an unseen scale in the past here in Iraq, with all the devastations we had in the past, but this was a very cruel and very vicious attack with a firebomb that at least caused the death of probably over 200 people, and some are still missing, with hundreds of injured people. So all civilians, all at different walks of life, children, women, and young men and old men. So it was a very, very nasty attack and has the ISIS dirty fingers all over it.
Do you think on this Chilcot report day one can really draw a line from the 2003 invasion by Tony Blair's government to those horrible scenes that we saw over the weekend?
Saddam Hussein brought on himself the destruction of Iraq and the invasion of the Americans and the other forces. Saddam attacked Iran, Saddam attacked Kuwait, he used chemical warfare against the Kurds, he used chemical warfare against the people in the south. So really Saddam brought this on himself and the people of Iraq. So all the consequence events after the downfall of Saddam Hussein shares the major part of it, and of course the Americans who failed miserably after the downfall of Saddam in forming an Iraqi government or holding the peace in Iraq. Again, the British also had a very nasty role on allowing the militias to roam over the south of Iraq. So all events leading to days like this, with the shared responsibilities of the British, the Americans, and Saddam Hussein and his forces that were aiding him and continue on the road of devastation to Iraq.
But you and your colleagues in the Baghdad Parliament wouldn't have a job without Tony Blair then. So are you basically saying that the Anglo-American invasion was a good thing?
Well, yes, true. We wouldn't be even in Iraq, not only having a job. We would never got rid of Saddam Hussein if it wasn't for the Americans. But I'm making a clear point here that the Americans failed in creating a harmonious society here in Iraq. On the contrary, they divided the nation. They introduced sectarianism within Iraqi politicians, and they put the foundation for a divided society and a divided country. They helped create a constitution that very rigid and very hard to change, and a very unjust constitution that's leading or actually causing a major part of the problems that we are facing now. So yes, true, we came in because the Americans helped us get rid of Saddam, but all the death and destruction that caused in Iraq after 2003 were by the hands of the Americans and their failed policies here in Iraq.
Could Britain be doing more vis-a-vis its closest allies in the Persian Gulf as regards the funding of atrocities like the ones over the weekend you seem to imply?
Well, definitely. I mean, we are accusing openly the regional countries like Saudi Arabia, Turkey, and Qatar of having a part in building ISIS, in supporting ISIS. The Minister of Defense in Saudi Arabia confessed that they cannot stop the NGOs in Saudi Arabia from collecting and sending money to ISIS. And that is a clear definition of the way ISIS receives its funds, with the presence of the super rich religious people in Saudi Arabia contributing to organizations or charities that directly channels this money to ISIS. That means the ISIS continuation will be guaranteed by this amount of money that reaches them and the financial, the military support that they used to receive from Turkey.
Now, some ordinary Iraqis say actually things were better under Saddam. I noticed Prime Minister Abadi had to leave the scene of the atrocity. So angry were the people in Baghdad about the security situation in Baghdad. A British businessman was sentenced to 10 years for fake bomb detectors. He has made some announcement about bomb detection equipment, I understand.
Oh yes, Britain again was part in a huge scandal when one of the producers of the bomb detection, the IEDs, were discovered that these devices did not work, and they were a scam, and he received millions of dollars with some selling them to Iraq under the name of detection equipment, bomb detection, and so that's again one part of the British system that were not clear until after the event and after they received the money and the funds. Yes, some people would claim or would say that life under Saddam Hussein was better, but we have to remember under Saddam Hussein the Kurds and the Shia were prosecuted in unprecedented ways. 180,000 Kurds were killed by Saddam Hussein and troops. The Shiite, 300,000 Shiite were massacred by Saddam troops. So yes, in Baghdad people felt better, but in other parts of Iraq there were genocides going on every day.
Okay, just finally, do you think Russia and Iran could be doing more with China as regards the rebuilding of economic life in Iraq, given the lack of trust, presumably, with the United States and Britain?
Well, we expect, aid to the displaced people. We were looking to Saudi Arabia, Turkey, other countries to help us on these humanitarian issues, because Iran took a very positive stance in providing us with the military equipment that we needed very quickly. And they came to our aid within hours. The Russian Federation also were very understanding to the needs of hardware, military hardware, and many of the all the helicopters now that are fighting are of Russian made, and they were sent to us on a matter of very, very speedy way. So did make a huge difference in the battles. Maybe we would require more assistance from the West, not only from the East, because the West really were very, very disappointed. We were very disappointed in their approach to the ISIS problem, which they themselves were part in creating that problem.
And just briefly, do you think these Western powers are still destabilizing Iraq then? Obviously in Syria they've been helping moderate rebels.
The regime or the political system here in Iraq is stable. I don't think any such explosion or such events will shake the foundation of the political system. People are living with democracy and understand that, but the threat of killing innocent people, that will continue. As long as these cruel events happen in Syria, and as long as there are countries supporting ISIS in Syria, ISIS will overspread or will spill on Iraqi territories, and we expect that the battle with ISIS will continue as long as there is a war against terrorism in Syria.
Saad al-Matlabi, thank you very much.